MouseKast podcast, and we would like to thank you for joining us for game night as our teams will see how they do. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, it's a crime. Tonight, Annemarie will host the show, and the teams will try their best. Princesses, princes, and villains who will beat out all the rest. The last Tuesday of every month we do game night to have some fun. You can join us to play along, and maybe it's you who should have won. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, it's a crime. We dive a little deeper every time.
Well, hello and welcome. This is episode 65 of MouseKast, and it's the final Tuesday of the month. You know what that means. It's game night. And you know why this is an awesome game night? Because I'm not running it. Tonight, guest host Annemarie is taking away the reins. And Annemarie, I believe the phrase that's very operative right now is, come on down!
We are doing my version of The Price is Right. And so we've got 3 teams tonight. We're going to go ahead and call our teams down. We're going to start with Team Princesses. We have Team Princesses, which is Megan and Natalie, the lovely and beautiful ladies. We have Team Prince Charming, which we have 2 Prince Charmings tonight, Chuck and Matt. And we also have our villains. Our villains are Hawk and Ty the Texan. All right, so we have our 3 teams down. So our first round of games is going to be higher and lower. And we're going to start actually with dates. So we're going to go somewhat round robin like we've done in the past, but what we're going to do, just to explain for our audience, is our teams are going to discuss briefly before they come up with their answer, and they're going to answer as a team. And we're going to start out with the beautiful ladies with Team Princesses. So before it was Cinderella's royal table, it was King Stephan's banquet hall, and it opened in what year? I'm going to give you the year, and you're going to tell me if it's higher or lower.
Higher being more recent?
More recent, yes. Lower being the lower number. Yes. So, for example, if I were to say 2025, which we know it's not that, higher would be 2024, lower would be closer to us, 2026. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Do you want to do sooner or later?
How about earlier or later? Yeah, that'd be
earlier or later. We'll go with earlier or later.
That's a little better.
Okay, King Stephan's banquet hall opened earlier or later than 1973.
I'm going to say later on that one, Natalie.
I'm going to go with you on that one, later.
Okay, we're going to say later.
All right, Team Prince Charming, earlier or later?
This is going to be interesting. So the Magic Kingdom, of course, opens in 1971, and King Stephan's Banquet Hall was in a very, very old attraction, and I can see Hark already pulling up Google down there. He's trying to look it up right now. I can see that.
No cheating.
What do you think, Matt? I'm kind of leaning towards later myself. What do you think?
Yeah, I was leaning later myself, but
at the same time, you know what? Yeah. Annemarie knows. We got to read Annemarie. She knows when Magic Kingdom opens. So is this a trap?
Just
what do you
to
think?
Be clear, my finger was on the mouse on the mute button. I was good. I was muted, and I wanted to.
Do those cheating villains know? Was it earlier or later than 1973?
Ty, I'm gonna say, Chuck. You guys went with later.
Are we going later, Matt? Okay, yeah, we're going later.
Yeah, I'll go later.
Okay. Ty, I say we go earlier just for the one-off.
I agree.
Okay, let's go earlier.
Earlier.
October of 1971 opened with the parks.
Really?
Villains in there.
Team
Wow, I'm
Villains
kind of
in the
surprised at
win.
that because, again, I knew it was early, but I didn't think it was that early. So it was literally is a day one attraction.
It's literally
Wow.
one of the originals.
Or day one restaurant.
All right, Team Villains in the win. We're going to let Team Villains go first. Animal Kingdom Lodge. This one is an easy date for me to remember. It actually opened on my husband's birthday, but the year, was it earlier or later than 2002? Team Villains.
I'm going to say earlier, Hawk. What about you?
I'll go with you on that. It's close, but I'm going to say earlier.
Earlier, okay. Team Prince Charming, earlier or later?
Let's think about this. So Animal Kingdom itself, the park opened in 1989. And so you said what year, 2002?
April 16th.
All right, so that's like a while later. That's 13 years later.
No, Animal Kingdom was 98, right?
I mean, 98. No, I'm saying 89 is Hollywood Studios.
thinking
Yeah,
of-
98. Sorry, 98.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm doing Hollywood Studios. Because I actually remember sending a reporter to cover Animal Kingdom in 1998. So,
I'm thinking
And
later
you
for some reason. I think it's
yeah, for some reason I'm thinking
Trips to
later too. So I'm going to say later.
All right. We got 2 for later. For Villains, did you say later or earlier?
Earlier.
Earlier. Okay. Earlier, later. All right, princesses.
Then 2002?
April 16th is the date. Was it in 2002 earlier or later?
I think it's earlier. I don't know why. But that's what I lean toward.
All
Annemarie,
right.
you
So Villains have 2 points and princesses have 1 now.
There we
It
go.
was April 16th, 2001. All right. We're going to start with our lovely princesses again, and we're going to go to the other princess hall, Akershus. Did it open in 1985? Earlier or later?
For some reason, I want to say that's later than that.
I'll agree on that one. Later works for me.
I think it's later than that.
Okay. Team Villains, earlier or later?
What you got telling you, Ty? What do you think?
I'm 1 for 1, so we'll go later.
I agree. Later.
All right. Team Prince Charming, earlier or later than 1985?
Matt, what you feeling?
My initial reaction was going to be earlier, but thinking back, since we just did an episode on Epcot, we opened in
Well,
81.
keep in mind the fact that if I remember correctly, the Norway Pavilion was not an original pavilion.
Yeah,
And
that is-
so I'm going to say later because if I remember correctly, Norway was not in the original opening of Epcot in 1982. I could be wrong on that, but if I remember correctly, it was not an original. So therefore, I would say later.
1988. All right. I picked this one because I remember how much Hawk loves Chef Mickey's. So Chef Mickey's was
His absolute
originally,
favorite restaurant.
yes, his favorite restaurant after Liberty Tree. And we are going to discuss Liberty Tree later too. I've got some menu items so that his mouth is watering. Chef Mickey's was originally in a restaurant called The Village in what is present day Disney Springs. But what year did it change the name from The Village restaurant to Chef Mickey's? And I'm going to take 2 answers on this because I found 2 different answers and they're right next to each other. So was it in 1996, earlier or later? Let's go with our Prince Charming.
Alrighty. So was Chef Mickey's name Chef Mickey's in 1996 earlier or later?
I feel like it's earlier.
Yeah, I do too because Chef Mickey's has been around for quite a while in that iteration, and so we all know of some of the age issues. Well, that means if it has age issues, therefore it's got to have age. So I'm with my esteemed colleague on this one. We're going earlier.
Villains?
What do you think, Ty?
You want to see if I go 3 for 3? That's I'm going to say earlier.
That was a very unsure earlier, my friend.
What do you think?
I'm torn on this one because it's got to be pretty close to that realm. And, thinking back, I mean, you're talking 30 years back if we go to 96, roughly 29 years.
So was 96 the first year you went and enjoyed it, Hawk?
Yeah. Back when I was 50. Actually Chuck was 50. I was only 35 then. But I'll go with earlier. We'll ride it.
All right. Princesses, final option. Earlier or later than 1996?
I want to go with earlier. My gut tells me
I
earlier.
think the guys are right on this. I think it's earlier.
I mean,
It was
all the years that
earlier.
I went.
changed names in July of 1990, but it moved to the contemporary in 1996. I was trying to trick you guys there. So y'all did a great job on that one. All right, here's a little bit of a difficult one, and I was honestly surprised by this. The first character meal, and I'll go ahead and tell you, it did happen on Sundays, only Sundays, and you didn't even need reservations. And it was in the contemporary. It was where what later would become Chef Mickey's. What year was it? Was it 1979, earlier or later? Let's go with our princesses.
I don't know, 79, that's 8 years after opening.
After
I feel like
Magic
Disney
Kingdom
could have done
opened.
it before that. Like, I just feel like they wouldn't have
Waited that long.
Yeah. Plus, Annemarie said it was surprising, and my initial gut is like, "Oh, can't be. It's got to be like in the '80s." But I don't know. I'm leaning towards earlier on this one, but I don't. I mean,
Okay, earlier.
Yeah,
Prince,
let's go with
Team
earlier.
Prince Charming.
Matt, what do you think? What's your gut telling you?
I'm torn on this one. I can go either way. Like that date is just kind of like it's like right in the. It's not in the middle, but it could go either way.
Right. It's 3 years before Epcot opens.
Right.
Obviously, 8 years, as Megan has said, 8 years after the Magic Kingdom opens, roughly. I have to. Part of me is leaning in the same direction the princesses. That seems an awful long time to go without a character experience. It's 8 years.
As far as dining is concerned, yes. But for some reason, like the surprising aspect, I think later might be it.
All right. Then we'll go with Matt's hunch.
My gut. Yeah.
All right. Matt's gut says later. We're going later.
All right. Later. And Team Villains, earlier or later? Are you with the princesses or the princes?
I'm not with either one. We're the villains. We're not with
Right.
either. We are our own. Ty and I are our own. And on that note, we should probably say it happened in 79. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say I actually think it's going to be later. I do think it's going to be later. What about you, Ty?
I agree. I agree.
We'll go with later.
Go with later. All right. Well, it was actually slightly earlier, but 1977. And I found that honestly very surprising because that was a lot later than I would have thought. So this brings me into my next. That was the only character dining for a few years until there were 3 character dinings. And it was still, there was the option at the Contemporary, there was an option at the Polynesian, and then there was still the original, the Village. But was it earlier or later than 1985? Let's go with Team Villains.
And just a quick clarification: we're not earlier or later than 1985 for which? For the when the
For
third
three.
one
For the
opened up?
three.
For the when all three opened up. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say that if they started it in 78, this is my math, it's Disney. They saw success with it. They opened a second location, saw success. So for the third, I think it's going to happen faster than shorter personally. So I still think it's going to be earlier than 1985 because Epcot opened in 82, which gives you the opportunity to get that. Give the locations again, Emery. What were the restaurants?
The restaurants were the Village, the Terrace Cafe at the Contemporary. The Village was still it's in what is present day the Rainforest Cafe, that location, and then what later would become Ohana. It was called Minnie's Menehune, and it's in what is today's actually Ohana in the Polynesian.
I'm going to say, given that and the locations, I'll go with prior to 1985. That's my take. Ty, you can give your opinion and we can come to a consensus. But what do you think?
I actually agree.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll go with earlier than 85.
All right. Team Princesses, earlier or later than 1985?
What do you think, Natalie?
Well, like I'm trying to like rack my brain because the first time I ever went was in 87. Granted, I don't remember it, but I know that my parents did a lot of those things because sometimes those deals, you actually got a character meal for free with your packages. So I'm like trying to like, I know I had one like in the early 90s, but
So I was thinking along the same lines because we did one of those and it was a breakfast over at 900 Park Fair, which is not on Anne-Marie's list, but that was like late 80s, early 90s.
Early
So
90s, yes.
Earlier, because to get 3 in to have at least 4 open by the time I did my first one, I think it has to be before 85.
I'm thinking, yeah, because my first, like I said, my first time was 87, and I do vaguely remember one that used to be on a riverboat at what is Disney Springs, I believe. Like, and I think I was like 3 at the time.
Not that I'm trying to help the princesses out here, but yes, there what is now the boathouse, and before was
Yes.
that whole thing started out as a character dining experience.
It was, and that was my very first like Disney memory I can ever remember. So like I hold on to that one. So what do you think?
I think earlier. Let's
Okay,
go earlier.
I'm gonna go with earlier.
All right, Team Prince Charming, do you guys agree earlier or later?
I mean, I feel like we're on the same boat. Maybe that it's earlier. What do you think, Matt? Although this is an opportunity maybe to catch one up. We're trailing, so.
I'm actually thinking it's later by a year for some reason.
You're correct on the amount. I'll give you that hint. I'll phone a friend to help you guys out. You're correct.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going with my esteemed colleague. We're going later.
Princesses and Villains are still in the lead. It was 1984. We finally had 3 dining character experiences. All right, 2 restaurants opened at the Beach Club Resort on the same day. One of them is still open, Beaches and Cream. The other one was Ariel's Seafood Restaurant. It happened on November 19th. What year? Earlier or later than 1989? We're going to give our Prince Charming team a chance to catch up.
I'm almost certain this is later because if I remember correctly, the entire Beach Club Yacht Club didn't open until the 1990s. I seem to recall that. So I really think this is later.
All right. Team Villains, earlier or later?
I'm going to say that it's also later because I don't believe Beaches and Cream was open 30 years when they closed.
I'm going to say later, but also that's because Little Mermaid didn't come out till 89.
All right. Princesses, do you agree earlier or later?
I think all the guys are right here. Beaches and Cream just doesn't
Yeah.
feel that old to me, but I think Ty's got a really good point that Ariel's
The Ariel, yeah,
till
Little Mermaid
89.
didn't come out till 89. So yeah, good point.
They both opened on November 19th, 1990. So I thought that was a fun fact. All right, our last date, and then we're going to move into our next round, and I'll give y'all our point count. Hopefully we'll have a tie break because we've got a tie right now between princesses and villains. All right, before it was Citrico's, it was Flagler's Fine Italian Dining in the Grand Floridian. Did it open earlier or later than 1987? And this would be Flagler's, not Citrico's. All right. Hawk looks like he knows the answer. Villains?
I have no clue on this one, but I'm gonna say. What are you thinking, Ty? You got a smirk on your face. What you
I'm
got?
gonna go with whatever you say because I was only 3 when that happened.
You don't remember going to
Ty,
Flagler's
just tell me
Fine
where you
Italian?
got your diapers changed. Quick, phone a friend, find out where your diapers were changed, and maybe we got a shot at this. All right. Given the fact I'm really rooting for it to be in Ty's lifetime, I'm going to say later. You want to go with later?
Okay. All right,
Ty?
Team Prince
You wanna go
Charming,
later?
earlier or later?
Later, yeah.
Okay. I had to make sure he agreed. He was in diapers at the time.
Matt, what are you thinking? I'm leaning towards later because keep in mind that the Grand Floridian was the last of the Magic Kingdom resorts that was built, and so just by that definition alone, it's also going to be what year again? 1987. Yeah, I still think later. What do you think?
The mind games of these questions is kind of what's getting me. So,
how old were you, Matt?
It depends on what was the date.
1987, June 28th,
Yeah, but
1987.
I was 8 months in my mom's belly. So we're I'm still living rent free at that point.
Ty and Matt were Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah, so I'm a little out on this one.
Good gracious, I'm a sophomore in high school at this point. Oh God.
Right there with you, Chuck.
So,
well, Chuck, do you remember your sophomore year in high school eating at Flagler's Fine Italian in the Grand Floridian?
So I have been to Walt Disney World back in those. I remember going to Walt Disney World in 1976, but very, very vaguely, and then going to Epcot again in 1983. But the Grand Floridian, I know, wasn't around when I went to Epcot in '83. So that's again, I get the feeling like this is a later thing, but it's just a hunch.
Okay, is that your final answer for Team Prince Charming?
My esteemed colleague.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go later.
Later sounds good.
All right, princesses.
Natalie, I'm leaning later also, and it's again because I remember 900 Park Fair being there when I was really little, and just with everything else going on at the time, with the opening of Hollywood Studios in '89, there were still resorts being open. These extra dining things, like obviously Grand Floridian probably opened with its quick service. I think 900 Park Fair was right there with it, maybe as a table service. Additional, I mean, Grand Floridian has a bunch of dining options now, but I think those kind of came in drips and drabs. So I think this is probably later.
I think so too.
Awesome. So we're going to end our earlier and later round with the princesses in gold with 7 points.
All right.
Team Villain in silver with 6. And
should
Prince
have
Charming, you're not
too.
doing too bad, Team Prince Charming. You guys have 5. So we're going to go
Was the
to
correct
our-
answer later or earlier in the last one?
It was June 28th, 1988.
So
The same year that the hotel and Victoria and Albert's opened, all in 1988.
gotcha.
All right. Back to 1988. It's breakfast. And I'm at Flagler's restaurant, and I'm ordering the Grand Floridian, which has got chilled juice, 2 eggs any way you like them, country sausage, bacon, sugar cured ham, hash browns, and a basket of pastries. You don't have to pick, guys. That's all included. And is it exactly higher or lower than $8.95?
And by you, we mean you as the adult, not a child price?
The adult.
All right.
Well, I would hope with that much food, that's the adult meal. That is the adult meal. For the breakfast menu for opening day, I found the opening menu, and I picked the breakfast that I would probably eat before heading out to the parks and hitting all the kiddie rides, because I don't hit those high rides. So we're going to start with our Prince Charming group team. Is it higher, lower, or exactly $8.95?
You mean just for the cup of juice? Because these are Disney prices, and even back then they were ridiculous, right?
No, that's for everything. That's for everything.
No, I think that was for a cup of water.
It was all included.
All right, $8 and what?
95 cents.
$8.95 for an entire dinner. All right. Well, all right. So this is where age does have its benefits. Now,
This
granted,
was
I'm
for
dealing with
breakfast or dinner.
breakfast.
This is breakfast.
Okay.
This was one of the more pricey breakfasts, except for the steak and eggs. But compared to today's prices.
And this is 1988, and so I can
1988.
remember very clearly in 1989, just 1 year later, where a gallon of gas was 88 cents. So if you kind of extrapolate that out, I think that $8.95 even then still sounds a touch high. What do you think, Matt? I don't think it's much. I think it might be like $7.99, or it's going to be close. But I can remember going to, for instance, being in the area of Busch Gardens in that time period, and breakfasts there in that area running about $5. So
I was going to say it's probably exact. If you think it's close, then I'm wondering if it's exactly the $8.95.
You're going to go. You think exact then?
If you think it's close to that number, then
you want to try exact?
Let's try exact. That's
all right, Johnny. We're going on the money.
I was thinking exact to begin with. So,
all right, my esteemed colleague says exact. We're going to go exact. All
right, Team Villains, you both look hungry. Were you paying $8.95 exactly, or were you paying more or less at Flagler's for that restaurant, for that breakfast?
I was getting that crap comped by Walt. That's what was happening for me. I was getting that comped. Like there was no way I was paying that. I was only making $2 an hour in 1988. So but let's see. I'm leaning towards what Matt's saying, to be totally honest. I like the exact number. It's it sucks because higher or lower gives you so much more room to wiggle with it. But playing the exact game could give you the point. Ty, what do you think? I say we ride along with the princes on this one. I think this is exact.
I think we should go with them to say exact.
Okay. All right. Exact.
All right, princesses. I don't think you're ordering this. This seems a little heavy for your light stomachs, but if you did order it, were you paying $8.95 or were you paying more or less?
I have no idea. I just feel like we should do something different than all the guys did.
I agree on that. I would say maybe lower.
Let's do it. We'll say lower.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the guys did get this because they eat those big breakfasts and they know how much it costs, even though Matt was 8 months in the womb.
Good call, Matt.
I still knew how to eat back then.
I was a little surprised by that.
Horrible Disney prices, even back in 1988.
I know. And knowing who said that they were making like $2 an hour?
That was all. Yeah.
Okay, so it was just about, with tax, 5 hours worth of work for your breakfast. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, keep in mind at that age, that was one of my first jobs ever. That wasn't even that was bare minimum wage, if that was it. I might have even been under minimum wage even for that time. It was pretty low. But I was thinking like Chuck did. I remember the price of gas and trying to extrapolate it out. You'd be at like $23, $24 right now by running it out that run. So that makes sense to me.
All right, we're going to.
Of course, I was going to sit there and say that if we did it like the price of tickets, then and you kind of went reverse, it would be about 6 cents for breakfast because tickets are now. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I would have had to work for a month to buy admission for myself.
We're going to stick with the year 1988, but we're going to head over to Akershus and we're going to order a bottle of wine for dinner. And we're going to get a good bottle of Napa Valley Chandon, as in Moet and Chandon, but the American sparkling Chandon. Am I spending $25 for that bottle exactly, more or less? Ladies, we're going to start with you.
Oh, so not only am I too young to know anything about pricing in the late 80s, but I do not, to this day, I don't drink wine. I couldn't tell you what a bottle of wine costs today.
Okay, well, it depends on what kind of wine. Like, you can get a $4 wine, but you can get like a $30 wine.
And you can get a $40,000 wine.
You can buy Chandon now for about
that too,
$20, but they're nicer. They're like their Imperial Chandon from California is more like $65 now, but that's direct. And you got to remember restaurant prices, and this is Disney restaurant prices.
You can't be dropping hints as the host. Come on now, you gotta scale that back. Come on,
quit being a villain.
See, Annemarie, they complain all the time, don't they? They just constantly complain.
The villain would be asking you to privately message me the answers.
I have blocked the team villain already. Don't worry. I have blocked them. All right. Okay. Higher or lower, ladies, and we're going to move on to the gentlemen. Higher, lower, or exactly?
I just have no idea on this.
What was the number you gave?
So let's go with
$25.
Let's go with exact. Let's go with exact because I honestly no idea. I was a very small child then.
Right.
I was too, actually.
$25 in 1988. We're going lower.
Yeah,
going lower. Okay.
I'd say
we're going lower.
100%. Ty, you in on that? You good? Lower?
I was 4 years old then, so I'm going with you.
You were just turning legal to drink 3 years ago.
Notice he didn't deny that he was still drinking the wine at 4 years old. I mean, you know.
I'm gonna say lower. Like that. I bet that was probably a maybe $15, $16 bottle back then.
Maybe as much as 18.
Sadly, nobody gets a point on this one. It was $30.
No way.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
I was impressed with that. I was really impressed with that. You could get a glass for $3.25, but yes. All right.
Crazy. There's only 4. That doesn't even.
As I say, that doesn't add up because if it's a standard bottle of wine,
well, a different
if you're
glass.
being
that one you couldn't get by the glass. That was one of
right.
their curated, finer,
nicer I guess that
ones.
makes sense.
All right. In 2013, on my birthday, I took my precious 3 little villains to Cinderella's royal table. And I was curious how much I paid to see my children fight with their swords. I couldn't remember. I remembered the horror on my face. And so I looked it up. And in 2013, November, my breakfast, was it exactly higher or lower for my adult breakfast? $44.80. And I'm going to start with Team Prince Charming, $44.80.
All right, this is 2013, right?
2013, November 12th.
So let me sit there and think back to my very first CRT. It was 2008. It was a dinner, and it was at about 45 to 50 a person. So you're talking about breakfast. Breakfast runs just a little bit lower, and you were saying it was what, $44.80
for the adult.
I think that
breakfast.
it's gonna be lower, but not by much. But I don't think it'll be $44.80. That's a little bit of a too odd of a price. I assume this is non-tax or anything like that. This is just the menu
local
price.
tax. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's lower. I'm thinking it's closer to like $39.99 per person. Again, back in 2013. What do you think, Matt?
I'm thinking a little bit higher, actually.
Because I know, like today,
47,
CRT
48.
is almost 70 a person.
Mhm.
Today, it's almost
Yeah.
I think it's 69 officially for adults.
If you were around 40 or so in 5 years before that, Chuck, I'm thinking it's going up a little bit past that 45. I'm thinking more like 47, 48. So I'm thinking higher than 44.
We'll go with my esteemed colleague. We're going to say higher.
All right. Team Princesses, how much did you pay for those children? For you to eat, to watch your children?
Well, I took my daughter in May of 2012, and that was her first time going. And my gut wants to tell me it was somewhere in the $40 range, because even then it was still a 2 credit meal on the dining plan, even back in 2012 or 2012. Ooh,
I think it's less than $44. Just the way that the pricing has changed over the last 10 plus years with Disney, they've had some steep jumps to get to where we are now. I think it's a
yeah.
little bit lower.
Yeah, and I mean,
than-
we had lunch that day, so I'm thinking I'm thinking it was probably somewhere like 42, 43. So let's go lower.
and
Lower?
the dining plan was also not the price that it is now. So those 2 credits didn't have
Oh
quite
gosh,
the
no.
same dollar value that would today.
All right. What does our last group have to say?
The villains. Don't forget to
Villains.
call us by our name.
The villains,
we
the
are the
cheaters. What are
villains.
the cheaters?
Okay, so Ty, what are your thoughts? I'll share mine after I let you go. What are your thoughts on this?
I would say exact.
I'm with Chuck. I think it's kind of an odd number. I don't think it's going to be exact. Although Disney does surprise us with stuff. I will say that when I went I think we went in 2017 for the first time, and I spent just over $200 for breakfast, even then for 3 people. So that puts it at like $65 or $66 for breakfast in 2017. I mean, they did hike it a lot, but on average, it's $3 to $5 a year that they hike those. So if you pull that back at 60 and say on the high side it was $5 a year, you're pulling it back to 40. You want to go with exact and just we'll have three different options and 2 people won't get points?
Let's try our luck.
You want to try it?
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, no whammies. We're going to go with Ty's initial gut and just say exact.
It was $43.99.
Just barely under there.
Barely.
Okay, no more listening to my gut.
That's all right, Ty.
It's
We're only a point
1991.
back. We're only a point back.
It's 1991 and we're heading to Ariel's. We're going to get some delicious seafood. We're going to get the baked Maine lobster stuffed with some delicious crab meat in it. Again, it's 1991. Am I paying $29.50 exactly, higher or lower? Let's start with Team Princesses.
I don't eat seafood, so I have no idea what the cost of lobster would be.
91. Wow. This is one where I feel like exact might be the way to go, because I'm not I eat seafood, but unfortunately not crab or lobster. Well, hold on.
And we actually never ate at that place as we were kids. So, because my family is not a seafood people. So I am very clueless. So whatever you think.
I don't know. Either exact or maybe even less. Let's just say exact. We'll go with what exact and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
All right, Prince Charming, Team Prince Charming, you're taking me to Ariel's to get the baked Maine lobster. Are you paying $29.50?
Well, you have me at two words,
Or-
lobster and crab. I mean, you cannot go wrong with either one of those. Now, to pull out the lawyer answer, I would say, why, Annemarie, it's at market price. But unfortunately, that's not going to work.
And was market price $29.50 or was it higher or lower?
Actually, my gut actually on this one, because you're dealing with two very high-end products. You're talking about lobster and it's stuffed with crab. Does it say what kind of crab?
It did not, but I'm assuming probably blue crab, local
Probably
crab.
blue, good old-fashioned Chesapeake Bay blue crab, which still comes at a hefty price. I'm actually, and again, this is Disney prices, so I'm actually thinking we go a little bit higher. I'm thinking it crosses into the $30 mark. What do you think, Matt?
I was probably chicken fingers and French fries at that point, and I don't do seafood myself, so we'll go with you on this one, Chuck.
We're going
I
higher.
don't have an idea.
Higher. All right. Team
So
Villains.
I grew up in Maine, and if I ever had lobster in Florida, I'd get slapped silly for being a dumbass. But I would not. I'm not a seafood person either. I got my fill when I was young. If I never saw a lobster,
I do have to admit they do lobster really well in Maine.
Yeah, I grew up in Maine and Massachusetts, so like we had New Hampshire. I mean, it was all lobster. That's all we had down the whole coast of all three states. So I'm going to say a little lower, actually. I just think it's going to be slightly lower. Ty, what do you think?
Well, I'm a Texas boy, so my idea of seafood is catfish and crawfish, but I'm going to agree with you and say lower.
All right,
You could
let's
probably
just go.
switch crawfish out for the crab.
I bet that crab was probably Alaskan king crab too, to be honest. If you're going to go big on a lobster stuff, like crab stuffed lobster, it's probably king crab.
Yeah, it probably is at the minimum snow crab.
Yeah. But I will still go for that time slightly lower. So we've got three different answers. Let's see who gets it.
Well, the ladies know how to shop because it was exactly $29.50. It was
There we
on
go.
the mark. All right, we're
Start
going
to run
to
away,
go to
ladies.
one.
Start to run away.
Matt, we
We're
got to
gonna
pick
go
up the
to one
slack,
of
buddy.
Huck's favorite restaurants. Goes there all the time. Liberty Tree Tavern. So he probably remembers ordering the delicious Pennsylvania pot roast, which came with mushrooms, pearl onions, vegetables, and whipped potatoes. And this was in 1976, so the bicentennial year. He was there. Did he pay $2.25 exactly? Higher or lower? We're going to start with Team Villain. Higher or lower? $2.25.
And it's the meatloaf.
Pennsylvania pot roast.
Oh, okay. Pot roast. Boy, that's worth another 3 cents right there. Let's see.
I just tried to pick your favorite dish so it'd be easier for you.
So honestly, Annemarie, I sent it back and I never paid for it. So this is a tough one for me because the only time I've eaten at Liberty Tree, I've had to send the food back. I am just not a Liberty Tree fan.
And Ty's parents, I don't think had met yet.
Yeah, Ty was a gleam in an eyeball somewhere. But all right, Mr. Glisten in the eyeball. What do you think on this?
Oh God. I'm gonna say less.
MouseKast is decidedly off the rails now.
Say less. Less.
Yeah.
Okay,
Less.
let's just say less. Let's just go for it. I mean, a new Lincoln then was $4,000. So,
All right.
I mean, let's go less.
Matt and Chuck, you're treating Hawk to his favorite Pennsylvania roast.
All right, pot
Was it
roast here. All right, Matt, what are you paying for pot roast in 1975 when I was in preschool?
I'm that glimmer as well. So let's see. What was the price? 2 1/4?
$2.25, but you got a lot. You got it stuffed with mushrooms, onions, vegetables, and some whipped potatoes.
Actually, you know what? For some reason, at 2 1/4, I'm actually going a little higher. I'm thinking like 2.5 or something like that. Again, this is Disney theme park food. And that would have been a signature experience too, because the Liberty Tree Tavern at that point, that was a signature, like, premium restaurant in
2.5?
Magic Kingdom. I think it's a little bit higher, so behave yourself down there.
All right, princesses. You're eating the Pennsylvania pot roast. Did you pay $2.25 exactly, higher or lower?
I think this is
I'm
either
kind of
lower or
clueless on
exact.
this.
We
I
could go
could say
exact and just have 3 different answers again.
Yeah, let's go exact because my mom was graduating high school then.
You're going with exact?
We are.
It was
We are.
higher. It was a whole $3.25. But that was a lot of food. That was a lot of food. Now, a few years later, in 1983, you're heading to King Stephen's Banquet Hall, and you're going to get a tomato stuffed with real crab claws with a seafood salad in it. Now, this would later be Cinderella's royal table. So, are you paying in 1983 $6.25? Higher or lower? Let's start with the princesses.
I think.
Well, that was the year I was born. I feel like that might be slightly high for 83, but
I have absolutely no idea.
I'm just thinking like $6 for a tomato with some crab legs in it. Like,
Well, but with crab legs,
Crab claws.
crab
claws.
claws.
So it's not even like
crab claw meat.
But that's the good. I don't know. I think that might be actually a little low. I think I'd want to go just slightly higher, maybe.
And remember, it's in the castle, so you're kind of paying for the ambiance.
Yeah, you're still paying for the experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you leading the ladies a little bit here in this?
I think our host is cheating.
She's not biased at all.
I think there's some estrogen.
She's the
I think there's some estrogen being directed certain ways here.
Hey, we are outnumbered, so
we are.
We got to hang
She's
together.
looking fabulous.
Of course, if she's
You are
leading us in
extra
the wrong
outnumbered
direction,
tonight because you have Hook and Smee with me. So there, extra outnumbered.
okay, Natalie, what do we think? Higher or lower?
Or exact.
Let's go higher.
We'll say higher.
Higher.
We'll go
All
higher.
right, Prince Charming, you're buying the princess's seafood salad. Higher.
Yes,
or
we
lower or
are, but
exact?
I'm going to tell you what, Annemarie, I'm not buying what you're saying because I think you are leading our princesses astray. I think this actually is lower. What do you think,
Lower.
Matt? Because you said, read the description again, complete.
So it's a seafood salad with real
And
crab
there was the
claws
magic
in a
word.
tomato
This is
shell.
a salad. It's a seafood salad. And I just don't see that being 6 and whatever it was. I think it's a little bit less. What do you think, Matt?
I was actually thinking it was a little bit more, just because of somebody mentioned like it's Disney price #1, and then it was in Cinderella's castle. So part of me was thinking more along like the $8 range. So I was thinking thought it was a little bit higher, but
What year is this?
It's 1983, and you can go with exact too. Don't forget, you can go exact Higher or lower? $6.25.
What do you think? We could also go exact.
Yeah, I know. A tomato isn't going to be that much. So, seafood salad.
That's where I was going
berries,
too. A tomato is not that big, so you're not talking about a massive serving size. This almost is like a
No.
appetizer style salad.
Yeah, this is pre food chemically enhanced tomato.
This was the salad.
This is like natural
part of, like,
tomato.
the
Living with the
courses that you had to
land.
pay for all
This
of
is
the
like a
courses.
$4 tomato.
Yeah. Just don't listen to
But
her.
it's got crab in it.
Crab claw.
All right, I'm thinking exact.
Crab claw.
You think exact?
Exact. Yeah,
Let's do it. We're gonna go. We're gonna buy it exact.
All right.
Okay, Ty, you want to go less? We'll make it a 3-way differential again.
Let's
Because
go.
the ladies went more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to just take less and see what happens? I got a feeling it's going to be exact too, but let's take less.
I don't like tomatoes, so let's just go less.
You good with less?
I'm good with
The
less.
tomato that has crabs, we're going less.
All right. Team Prince Charming, congratulations. You are in the lead and are winning this round.
All right, Matt called it. Good job, Matt.
Question.
All right.
I have one final question for you all. It's the year 1985, and it's the year my favorite dessert came out. And parking to get to my favorite Mickey bar is how much? Now I'm going to give you the price of the 4-day ticket because I'm going to need Mickey bars for 4 days, even though there's still only 2 parks. The 4-day adult ticket was $54.50, and it's 1985, but I'm driving because I'm getting my Mickey bars. How much was the parking? Was it exact, higher, or lower than $5? Team Princesses.
And the year again?
1985, the year the Mickey bar came out.
Oh.
Well, I was 2, so I do not remember what my dad might have handed because we were driving from like all the years up until 1999. We stopped driving there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's either exact or less.
I was thinking exact.
Let's go exact.
Exact at $5. All right, Prince Charming.
This is not exact because here's the logic. How much was a 4-day ticket?
The 4-day adult ticket was $54.50.
All right. So so for each day then $54, you're talking what, $12, $13 for the entire day. And so a $5 parking is 1/3 of the cost of the entire ticket. Even at today's prices, it's not 1/3 of the entire ticket. So I am thinking it is less. It is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $3. What do you think,
Okay.
Matt?
Yeah, I was thinking $3 myself, so I was thinking lower.
Yeah, we're going lower.
Okay. All right, Team Villains.
I think it's going to be $3.50. I say lower. What do you think, Ty?
I say lower, but I think it's gonna be like 2.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Ty was exactly right. It was only $2 to park. I really tried to find how much my Mickey bar would have been. I did discover that it was not fully perfectly shaped like Mickey Mouse. It took 3 years before they perfected the shape.
Wow.
But 1985, they had that Mickey bar. So, all right. So for our second round, Prince Charming, Team Prince Charming is in 1 with 5 points. Team Princesses with 3, Team Villains with 2. So let me combine. That means y'all
9, 8, and 7. Princesses have 9. Villains have 8. Princes have 7.
And we knew the ladies were going to win, didn't we, ladies?
Yes, we did.
Thank you guys for playing tonight. I hope you guys learned some interesting facts. I always love looking up like historical and facts about different things. So for me, it was really interesting also to read some of these menus. I encourage our listeners to go look at some of these. You can go and find some of the original Beer Garden and Akershus menus. Some of the food was really high end. Like I would like to write Disney and bring back a lot of these dishes. So that was really a tasty treat for me today. So thank you guys for the honor for being able to do some of this research today. And thank you.
Wait a minute, Annemarie, there's no Showcase Showdown where we can win some DVC points to take a trip to Hawaii? What the heck is going on? You were
that will be on our
Drew Carey
game, and we can go to Aulani.
There you go. Well, I just
Are you buying?
You did a great job,
We can go
Annemarie.
with my points. We can go with my points. We
There
can,
we go.
we can do
No.
a
None
live
of
broadcast.
the boys did not win. None of the boys.
Girls
are
trip,
going.
girls
this is
trip.
a
Girls
full-time
trip
date with
to
the
Aulani.
ladies.
Oh, wait a minute. I
Ladies
brought up the Showcase Showdown and the idea. I'm definitely taking
Hey,
the
this
trip.
is Disney. This is Disney. Just because you propose an idea, if we take it on, does not mean you get credit.
That's exactly right.
Oh, wow.
And here come the lawyers.
Wow. I see how it is. Me and Smee and Hook here see how it is. It's a little two-sided in here.
Well,
I
once
do
a
There's some
villain.
bias. There's some bias there.
I just am glad the fact that Annemarie did The Price is Right in honor of Bob Barker. Of course, I have to say, help control the pet population. Please have your pets spayed or neutered. Good old Bob. We miss you very much, Bob Barker.
And anyone with teenagers, the same goes for them.
I think on that note,
But
we have to
not
cut
on your
Hawk
Disney
off.
trip.
No, have that taken care of long before the Disney
Oh, and on that note, I think,
anyway.
yeah.
This
Because
is
Megan's about to
fun.
melt into the floor now. And so,
This has gone downhill.
yeah, this is definitely, we better shut this off before Hawk really gets going.
Oh,
What do you
whatever.
guys think? We hope you have enjoyed this episode of MouseKast, where the mind meets the magic. We want to say a huge thank you to Annemarie, our host tonight for the MouseKast is Right. And we want to remind you, we do this game night live every final Tuesday of the month. So be sure to join us coming up in April for another live game night. Also, we want to remind you, next week, we're going to be continuing our MouseKast, where the mind meets the madness tournament. Last week, we did the top 8 resorts. We're down to the final 4, and you know what that means. It's park versus park. That's coming up next week on MouseKast. Until next time, we'll see ya.
MouseKast Podcast thanks you for listening to our show. When you let the mind meet the magic, it's where the deep thoughts flow. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, it's a crime. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, it's a crime. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, it's a crime. This is where the mind